Emma Kingston is from Desford. She's 20 years old and has just been placed on the transplant waiting list. Now, as it stands, the stark reality is that she has a 1 in 3 chance of dying before suitable donor lungs can be found. Now, growing up, Emma coped well with CF. She took part in sport, ran regularly and even played rugby, she told me. But it wasn't until Emma reached the 6th form when the condition became more apparent. After her GCSEs, the pace of the degenerative nature of CF increased, and aged only 17, Emma was forced to come to terms with the reality of cystic fibrosis. I went to meet her in her room at a busy ward at the Glenfield.
I remember being told that my lung function probably wouldn't improve when I was about 17. And my mum was really cruel when I was a kid. If I had a hospital appointment in the morning, she'd make me go to school in the afternoon, which was horrible. I just thought you'd have got a day off for that. But no, I went back to school that afternoon, and I was really upset. But at the time, looking back now, I didn't have a lot to worry about at the time. I obviously thought it was a massive deal, and it was to me at that point. But actually, at that point, I had double the lung capacity that I have now, which was only 3 years ago. So,
I suppose coming to terms with the degenerative nature of the condition, I mean, how do you deal with that, knowing that this is a life-limiting condition, effectively?
Well, from a very young age, we're told about life expectancy. And I don't know, you condition yourself. Either you condition yourself well, and you think, well, I'll give it my best, I'll keep going and try and get there, or beyond it, or you dwell on it. And I've not been a person to dwell on it. I think it's to do with my mum. She's quite a positive influence on that, in that respect. She's like, go on, get on with it, you know, you've got to, you don't have a choice. Or if you don't, you just sort of waste away, really, don't you? So, I went off to uni in Leeds 2 years ago. First year of uni was, you know, a good laugh, but by the end I was really tired, and I got some kind of infection. Went to the doctors in Leeds. They said, we don't know what it is, and then I became very ill. Called my mum, said, Mum, please pick me up a few weeks early before I was due home. Came into hospital. I had contracted glandular fever, which glandular fever is not great anyway, but when you have very little lung capacity, it completely knocks you out, and I spent 13 weeks in hospital last summer. I didn't even leave the room for 6 weeks, so that took its toll. I did get a couple of days break where I was allowed to go to the Olympics because I had tickets.
Brilliant.
And I went to see Blur, so that kept me going.
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't go back to Leeds, so I transferred to DMU, and I'm studying film and media at DMU. Unfortunately, I'm retaking my second year because I've missed so much of this year. I started late, and then various other things have come up, but they're very supportive, and I'm hoping that the half that I've missed will be made up for the following year.
Okay. It's good to keep setting goals like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't sit and not do anything because all I think about is the transplant. So I also go to Loros Hospice on a Wednesday for daycare. And when I go there, I have art therapy, counselling, massage, all sorts. And they're really friendly, really lovely people, and they just, you know, keep your head above water, I think, when you're having a bit of a rough day. And it's something to look forward to every week. And I know that I've got the right support there. So instead, you know, I like going out with my friends and things like that, but because I'm very tired and I'm on oxygen almost all the time now, I get really breathless, struggle to walk very far. So at Loros, they're really helpful. They do things for you to make it easier, and they've got oxygen already there, and you know, it's all purpose built to fit around you, not for you to try and fit around it like everything else. And I've just been to the Isle of Wight Festival.
Oh my God, it was brilliant this year.
Yeah, it was so
I had friends
good.
there who said it was just spectacular.
It was amazing, and this had been months in planning, because last year I had a ticket, and obviously he was brought into hospital, and my dad bought me a ticket this year and said, right, we're going to go. And I was like, okay. So we planned it at the hospital. Oxygen was delivered to this festival site. I had a disabled ticket, so I had disabled access while I was there. We had a ready pitched tent, so I didn't have to carry tents. And I was in hospital for the 2 weeks beforehand to to make sure my lungs were as clear as could be. And actually, the first 2 days I was there, I didn't even use oxygen at all.
Wow.
I think it's got something to do with the sea air as well. There, clears your lungs out because the salt is really good for me. So
You are on the list now. You're on the waiting list for a possible lung transplant, which is, it could dramatically increase your life expectancy and improve your whole well-being. I mean, what does the prospect of a transplant mean to you?
well, at present, the reality of my situation is that I have a couple of years left. And being 20 and being told that is obviously terrifying because I have so many things I still want to do. So it would just be amazing, and I sort of thought about transplant for a long time before it was offered to me. Because ironically, for transplant, you have to be sick enough and well enough at the same time. Because there's not enough organs to go round. They really can only be given to the people that really, really need them. And even then, 50% of CFs that go on the list don't make it and don't receive a transplant. So I had to think, do I want to go on the list and have the worry of waiting for a phone call and it being a false alarm? And there's lots of things to consider actually being on the list waiting for a transplant. But obviously I've weighed it up and I think it would really dramatically change my life. And because I know a lot of CFs post-transplant as well, they're doing amazing things, like they're going travelling, they're having kids, they're opening businesses, doing amazing things that at the moment really aren't in my sights. So, my mission is, if I get a transplant as well, I want to run a marathon. So, you never know, you could see me, London Marathon, in a few years' time.
Anybody can do it, I'm sure you can.
At the moment, I get breathless sitting still, let alone doing anything. Having a shower takes me 4 times as long as it normally would, and I have to sit down because just washing my hair takes all the energy out of me, and everything is hard work. So just to be able to breathe and walk without having to stop and cough and all that sort of thing it would really mean the world to me, actually.
That's Emma Kingston from Desford, just 20 years old and on the waiting list for a lung transplant.